Oh, hello, hello, and am I live? Yes, let me just double check. As always, the time just races. Where does it go? As always, let's check that notification to make sure I am live. I see I have viewers, so hopefully I am live, which is wonderful. I should be live to Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page, Janome Canada's Facebook page. Yes, there I am. Janome America YouTube channel and Janome Canada YouTube channel. Yes, fabulous. It is another Wednesday, time to share some more Janome love. And right away, I see I've got a question. Daryl is wondering, what model is that? I have an M7. The model I had in my picture today is the Continental M6, which is kind of like the little sister of the M7. And today I'm going to talk about twin needle sewing, which can be done in almost every Janome machine, so long as we've got a wide enough opening in the needle plate that we can do a twin needle sewing. So hello everyone, my name is Michael Smith. I'm the National Education Manager of Janome Canada, and yes, back here live for my palatial estate in Collingwood. It is such a gorgeous day today. Oh, this is a time I don't want to be inside sewing, but maybe we could take our machine outside. That is wonderful, actually, if you've got some coverage up there. Hello, everyone. It is so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. So, yes, the machine, again, that I am sewing on is the Continental M6. But again, I'm talking about twin needle sewing, so we can use it with so many machines. So let me just, oh, they seem to have switched some things around here with StreamYard. They always start changing things on me. There we are. So here we go. This is the fabulous, I got to go way back here, Continental M6. And yes, this twin needle sewing. There are so many things that we can do with a twin needle using two needles. Are you every Wednesday this time? Yes, Barbara, I am live, or sometimes it's a recording, but most of the time it is totally live. But yes, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Janome Canada YouTube, Janome Canada Facebook, Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page, and Janome America's YouTube channel. These presentations will be there every Wednesday. So twin needle sewing, what is it? Well, as you can imagine, twin, two perfectly parallel lines of stitching. Can you do that just by drawing and stitching one row after another after another? Maybe with, if you're really precise, but isn't it easier to use a twin needle? Perfectly even parallel rows on the front and on the back side. Oh, there's a little zigzag in between. So our regular bobbin, one bobbin thread, and two needles. So as you can imagine, we would replace the regular needle in our machine, take out our one needle. Now, a good spot to put that one needle for our Continental machines, we had this Continental pin cushion, which the fabulous Janome America educator Miriam Coffey designed. I'll spin it around so you could see. You could put your pin cushion here. I just spun it around so you could all read the label of the machine, Continental M6. But you see, there's a big elastic here, and it just buttons around on the back. And then we could put our pin cushion here. So we could put our needle in there, or there is the same Continental pin cushion, decorated it with our utility stitches. But in this case, I didn't attach it with the elastic. I just have it here in front of the machine. So these are free projects on janome.com in the Create and Make tab. And then this is the Inspire tab of janome.ca. Those pin cushions. So that's one area where you could keep your needle, or, you know, our twin needle. If you can imagine, here are two needles on one shaft. So this, can you use twin needles in Janome machines? Yes, we can use them, again, not in the HD9 or 1600p. That just has a small opening in the needle plate. But in most of our regular sewing machines, yes, we can use this twin needle. This one is a 2 millimeter wide needle that comes with this sampler pack. that's where the needle would be. This is the sampler pack. It's included in a number of Janome models. You can also purchase these separately from your Janome dealer. And again, the twin needles, 2 needles on one shaft, which would go up in the machine to save time and to save my hands being in the way. I've already installed the twin needle. So very simple, easy to do. Like all of the needles, there is a flat back. So again, flat to the back, and then the 2 needles. Now, it may be very hard to see here, so close up. But this right needle is slightly longer than the left needle. When you get it at home and up close, you may see the right needle is slightly longer than the left needle. That is totally the way it's supposed to be. As the needle is going up and down here in the bobbin area, and the hook that is underneath, the little hook that comes and grabs that bobbin thread. That's why that right needle is a little lower than the left needle, so it can all grab that one bobbin thread. So you install the needle the same way as you do a regular needle, but here on the back of your machine, now this is why I love the Continental machines. They have these 2 vertical spool pins. Maybe your machine has a horizontal spool pin, the secondary spool pin, that would go somewhere and around in here, and it would be a horizontal orientation. That's fine. That's a great time to use that auxiliary or secondary spool pin to just attach it to your machine, and you'd thread it however your machine manual recommends. Here in my telescoping thread mast, you see my thread comes up here. Now this thread, the orangey thread, goes off to the left, and then this blue thread comes off to the right here. So this is where we don't want these threads to separate or to tangle. We want to keep them separated. So I've got the needle thread threaded the way my machine normally is. And here in this little guide that's in the machine, normally we would use this when we're using the bobbin thread, but we just hook our thread under here. That way there's distance here between the threads. They don't get tangled up. But once we get into this guide here, then we thread the machine the same way. So in this Continental M6, again, I've got the 2 strands going down and up, both strands through the take-up lever, and both strands down to just above the needle. And then they separate just above the needle here. Maybe you'll see. To the left, again, I've got that orangey thread all the way to the left, the way that we normally do thread the machine. But then this blue thread, it's just going in this guide here, behind that guide there, and then there. It's not in this little guide. There is a little hook that I could hook my blue thread, my right thread, under right there, or it's totally fine just to leave it a little loose right there above the needle, and then it goes down into the respective right and left needles under the foot as always. And I always like to hang up my threads here on the side thread holder. From front to back's a holder, from back to front is a cutter. Just hang the threads up there and they won't knot up when you start sewing. So that is how you thread your twin needles. Now your instruction manual, full instructions. In your instruction manual, it will say it'll say twin needle sewing, and it goes through the whole steps, including threading the machine. So double check with your manual. It will tell you exactly how to thread your machine. But basically, as the threads come off the spool, you try to keep them separated here, but once they get into that first tension, that first thread guide, they get threaded exactly the same way. And then they separate at the needles themselves. Now, to help thread the needles, you are not able to use your needle threader included with your machine. That's only designed for one needle. So there are these handy Janome needle threaders that you can get in a blister pack. Now here, one side of it holds the needle. So if this needle was the one in my machine, this is a great space to drop the needle in, then you remember where it is. And then this side, there's a little wire that pokes out. Again, it's hard for me to demo on camera because it's so fiddly, but basically the thread just comes through that guide, that little jaw, and you see that wire pokes out, and it pokes that thread through the eye of the needle. So this Janome manual needle threader comes in a blister pack available from your Janome dealer. It will help you thread these twin needles individually, right and left. So there, my machine is all set up and ready to go. Now, again, in our machine, in many of our machines, they come with this little blister pack of needles with this 2mm wide twin needle from right to left. It's 2mm wide. Now, we can get other needles, like our good friend Schmetz, for example, does needles. This is a 6mm wide, really wide needle. Now, again, now here you'll see the left needle is lower than the right needle. Well, this is on purpose. Now, things change around. The wider the needle, then the left needles get longer than the right needle. So again, when that hook comes around to grab the bobbin thread. So left needle is longer than the right, but that's perfectly normal. So this is a 6mm wide. Oh, we can even get up to an 8mm wide. So there's 2mm wide, 3mm wide, 4mm wide, 6mm wide, the distance between these needles, and 8mm wide. So yes, if your machine can do a zigzag, basically, you have a zigzag needle plate, then you can use the twin needles, no problem, with some exceptions. Now be very, very careful when we get into using, especially these wider twin needles. As a general rule, so we want to use the twin needles that are at least 1mm less than the width of our needle plate. So in this case, this is 9mm. So I can use this 6mm wide twin needle, for example, no problem. That'll work beautifully. For a straight stitch, no problem. If we have a 7mm wide needle plate opening here, we could use this 6mm. It's 1mm less than 7. So we could, for a straight stitch, and I emphasize the words straight stitch, but I always think err the side of caution. I would use maybe a 4mm wide needle with your 7mm wide machine. If you have a 5mm wide machine here in your needle plate opening, you could use a 4mm wide twin needle. I'd rather err on the side of caution and use a 3mm wide. And why, you say? And again, that's a lot of numbers, but why? Well, we get into some trouble. When we do a regular straight stitch, no problem at all. That twin needle works beautifully. But did you know we can do some other stitches other than a straight stitch using a twin needle? So in this case, I'm just going to do this simple hem. When we do this twin needle, it is great for hem. You just fold up your regular hem allowance. And in this case, I lined it up. Yes, that's going to be good. So we can do our hems. This is a fast, easy way. We would all love a Janome Cover Pro machine. And that will do our 2 or even 3 lines, parallel lines of stitching, and finish off that raw edge at the back with that little zigzag stitch. Now, boom, there. Isn't that beautiful? 2 perfectly even parallel lines of stitching. And again, we've got that little zigzag at the back. So what we could do is either finish this raw edge with one of our overcast stitches. We could finish it on the serger, or technically, because of this little zigzag here, the fabric's not going to ravel anymore. What I like to do with my 4-inch mini duckling scissors is I come back in here and just trim that hem a little closer to that line of stitching and make it nice and neat. We could use the pinking blade on the rotary cutter, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And because of that mini duckbill on the bottom side, again, that's why I'm not trimming into my lower layer. So isn't that gorgeous? What is the length of the stitch? In this case, I just did it at regular 2.4. If you got thicker layers, I would lengthen the stitch to a 3.0. It looks a little nicer the longer the stitch, but I just used it at 2.0. So isn't that beautiful? Fast, simple way to do a hem. But as I said, did we know? Oh, look at this beautiful little sample. This is what I always recommend you make. Doesn't take a lot of fabric, simple little scraps. I backed it with stabilizer here to help support these stitches, that we can do these decorative heirloom stitches. Some of these heirloom stitches, don't they look cool? A regular zigzag, but hey, that looks very cool. So all of a sudden, the twin needle sewing looks very decorative. Even these utility stitches, which are our over edge stitches, overcast stitches here in the utility category, don't they look very decorative? Here's some decorative stitches as well. These are satin stitches. Can you believe that? With twin needle. There's the serpentine stitch that's in the quilting category. There's some heirloom stitching. Last week, I hope that you join me for how to find our stitches in our Continental CM6 specifically. But yes, we can do some decorative effects with these twin needles. Now, this is where we get into trouble if we use these really wide needles. Twin needles. Believe me, ask me how. I know. You want to be very careful. Always rotate the balance wheel by hand when you're first using a different stitch other than a straight stitch, just to make sure the swing of the needle doesn't hit your needle plate. But yes, I didn't realize we could use decorative stitches with twin needles. You can, but be very careful. Again, remember the swing of the needle. So Janome always trying to help us, always trying to make things faster and easier without damaging our machine, without breaking needles. We have this icon in a number of our machines. Why do we upgrade to these fancy machines? Because of this feature. This is the twin needle guard. So right now it is on a single needle. Then we can switch to the twin needle icon. And did you see on my screen? I'll switch it back. Here I've got all of my utility stitches, my over edge stitches. But when I click the twin needle guard, there's the twin needle icon. You see the twin needles here on my LCD screen, but disappeared are all these incompatible stitches. So I can scroll through and oh, look, there's a lot of stitches that have disappeared, but here are some of my heirloom stitches. I can go into, again, our little cheat sheet here on the Continental machines. All the incompatible stitches have been grayed out, but I can scroll through and look, even all these satin stitches we can use with the twin needle. So yes, then it is very good to upgrade to your machine. I'll select here. These satin stitches, very cool. So it is very good to upgrade to a sophisticated machine if your budget and space will allow. It just helps you avoid some of those mistakes. Believe me, I broke plenty of needles in my early days of sewing. I didn't have a very fancy machine, and you don't really need one specifically for this function, but it just helps it make it easier because, again, especially if we were to use these wide twin needles, again, the swing of the needle, in this case, I would not be able to use this 6mm twin needle with this decorative stitch. I would totally hit my needle plate. So that's why we err on the side of caution. And instead, we use, for most applications, we use the 2mm wide twin needle that comes with many of our Janome machines. Now we can use, again, with a straight stitch, this 6mm wide needle. For example, this is a ready-made commercial garment. Look at that. 6mm wide straight stitch, no problem. Again, this hem was finished on a Cover Pro machine, but we would have that little zigzag in between. So this is where we can mimic ready to wear, and we can mimic doing those fast, easy hems. Now, again, with a straight stitch, we can do those wider twin needles with a regular straight stitch. But here, when we're doing decorative stitches, we really should just keep to that 2mm wide twin needle that comes with our machine. Now, since this is a decorative stitch, I should also really take the time and switch to, I always get ahead of myself. I really should switch out since we're in decorative stitch mode. Let me just snap that in between. It's so hard when you have a camera in front of you. I really should switch out for the decorative stitches. We really should switch out to the satin stitch foot that has the groove on the bottom side. For a regular straight stitch, we can go ahead and use the regular A foot, no problem. But in this decorative stitch, doesn't that look cool? And especially with 2 rows of stitches, 2 different colors of thread, doesn't that look cool? Now, again, for these decorative stitches, I have stabilizer on the back side. So this is where we could cut it away, rip it away, whatever kind of stabilizer we have. But it's so cool. So now, all of a sudden, let's do some more. Look at all these cool twin needles, stitches that we could do. Oh, there's my sister Deb. Yes, that's okay. Better late than never. And again, we can always go back, especially on YouTube, to review these videos. Facebook is deleting them after 30 days, but they will be on our respective Janome Canada YouTube, Janome America YouTube, so you can review at any time. So again, even our most basic Janome machines can use twin needles, but you will not have the twin needle guard built into those more basic machines. So this is where I caution you, if you're using twin needles for these decorative stitches, keep to that 2mm wide twin needle. Do not use the big 6mm wide that you can get separately. Again, you're just going to hit your needle plate. For a straight stitch, no problem, but decorative stitch, no, don't do it. Doesn't that look cool, especially with those 2 different colors of threads? So much we can do with a twin needle. All of a sudden, it becomes a decorative thing. Now, when I get back to my regular straight stitch, though, and this is where regular straight stitch, and then I would like to lengthen my stitch. I'll lengthen it to 3.0 because this is a great stitch to use for knits. We need that stretch to hem our knits. And this is where, again, we can mimic having a Cover Pro machine. It's great if we can get one, but this is where, again, let me just line that up easily here. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Let me just line that up easily. There we go. And then this makes hemming so fast, so easy. 2 perfectly straight lines of stitching. And I slightly lengthen my stitch to a 3.0 just to make it a little longer. And so I have a little more room of this little zigzag stitch in between, and this provides the stretch for knits. Then again, I take my mini duckling scissors and trim very close to that knit. Now I don't need to worry about the knit fabric raveling, since it won't. So there, like, isn't that a fast, easy hem? It looks very professional. 2 lines, parallel lines of stitching, looks very professional. And again, we've got that built-in stretch for the knit. Now, just as a little tip as well, when we are sewing these knits, in this case, this is primarily a cotton knit, so it's not really a problem. But when you get into knits that have a lot of lycra and spandex, you can use these twin needles. This one is slightly bigger. This is a 4mm wide twin needle that I used. And again, as a straight stitch, no problem. Use the wider needles so long as it fits in your needle plate, the width of your needle plate opening. But I use water-soluble stabilizer when I'm sewing on those slinky knits that have lycra and spandex in them. They can cause skipped stitches. So instead, what I use is water-soluble stabilizer to stitch my seam, and then I can rip it away, or again, you just can't sew without these 4-inch mini duckling scissors. I use them all the time. So here, again, I can get in really close to trim away this, trim away this water-soluble stabilizer very easily on both sides. And then the little bit, oh, hello, Anne, it's great to see you. Thank you so much. That little bit of water-soluble stabilizer that's in between the stitches, run it under the tap, spritz it with water, that stabilizer disappears, and all of a sudden you have a perfectly even, neat hem, no skip stitches. Again, if I want to, I can go in and neaten off this edge. I always love to make my hems a little deeper and then do my stitching and then trim them away, because I can trim this nice and neat. I don't need to worry about, oh, am I going to go off the raw edge of the fabric? It just makes it neater. Now you could, if you wanted to line up your hem right in between, so one stitch is going off the fabric and one stitch is going on, your raw edge would be right in between your twin needles. That's too fiddly for me, so I just do it this way. And it works beautifully. So again, water-soluble stabilizer can be your friend to eliminate those skip stitches. That works out so beautifully. So when else would you use a twin needle? Oh, in this case, again, my little sample here. How about in quilting? I have batting, my top, my bottom layer, and again, we're going to see that little zigzag in between. But isn't that cool? Like on the back side, we're going to see that little zigzag, but doesn't that look cool? So for a little project like this could be a table runner. This could be a little, like a little coaster. I just drew some lines with my Hera marker just to give me a reference point. Now, since I'm quilting through all layers here, through 3 layers, I do lengthen my stitch for this step as well. And just remove that, and I just get up here and can lock those off. So how about using a twin needle for quilting? Now this is where, again, with straight stitching, maybe you do want to use that bigger twin needle. It would give you a very cool effect, more distance in between the stitching. Maybe the bigger needle would cause more fabric to drop in between, that you experiment with, but doesn't that look cool for quilting? Now, how about binding? I have sewed my regular binding on, just as we do, sewing it down, flipping it to the back side here. And now I want to tack this down with my twin needle, with my machine. So Debbie is asking, can you use a quilting foot? Oh, like a even feed foot, a AccuFeed flex foot? Yes, absolutely. When you're quilting through all layers, totally. You can change the foot to your AccuFeed flex foot, your even feed foot. No problem at all. They will work with a twin needle. So again, let's go into, I can go into my little cheat sheet here on my Continental machines, or go into my little curlicue category. How about let's explore the quilting category? And a lot of quilters love this serpentine stitch. Oh, from Mexico. Hello, hello. I hope you are having a fabulous day. A lot of people love this serpentine stitch when they're sewing down their binding. Well, how about using a twin needle with it? It is so cool. Now, again, this is why I love that twin needle guard on our more sophisticated machines, because I know I don't need to worry that, oh, are these needles, the swing of the needle, is it going to hit my needle plate? If it is a straight stitch, no problem. But when we get into those zigzag and decorative stitches, you really need to pay attention, especially if you don't have a machine with that twin needle guard. Yes, Barbara, this is the Continental M6. So here I am lining up this stitch. So the binding, the stitch, my left needle is going to go still on my binding, or so you could do it however you wish to do. So in this case, I'm just stitching so my left needle is in line with my binding. So all my stitching stays on the binding. Or you could do a very interesting effect. I just need to change position so I can see. So I can change positions. So now, there we go. I just needed to run that off a little bit. So now my left needle is swinging off the binding and onto my quilt top. My right needle stays on the binding the entire time. So this would depend on the width of your binding on the back side. Will you have enough to cover it? But that's really cool to just play around and get these effects. Now, personally, I love using when I'm experimenting and checking out stitches. This is where I recommend you get like these beautiful neon threads from Madeira in this case, but you check with your Janome dealer and you get these beautiful like neon threads so you can really see what you're doing. Go ahead and use 2 different colors of thread so you can really see what you're doing. So doesn't that look cool? Especially if you used just a, oh, thank you. Anne says, oh my, are you the real Anne Marie? Who says she always learns from my videos. Thank you so much. Yes, if this was just a plain piece of fabric, wouldn't that really add some embellishment, just kind of zhuzh it up a little more, just a plain fabric, but you use 2 different colors of threads, or how about some metallic threads with with your twin needle, and you see, so there that left needle is still on the binding. So isn't that a cool finish? Or then down here is where I swung off. So there you just see a little bit of that left needle on the quilt sandwich itself. Doesn't that look cool? No, I don't sell the machines personally. You have to go to your Janome dealer. They sell your nearest Janome dealer and they will sell you the machines, and you say, hey, I want a machine like the Continental M6 that Michael demoed, or I want a package of those twin needles. So there you see on the backside, beautiful finish, just with that little tight zigzag. So beautiful finish to tack down your binding. Just something cool, something different, quilted in between. There's so many things that we can do with our Janome machines. And again, specifically, I love these machines. Again, there is our twin needle guard. So that is going to help you prevent breaking all those needles. If you don't have this guard on your machine, be very careful when you try to select stitches other than a straight stitch. Now, of course, more for twin needle sewing, you can go on our Janome Life blog and check out previous videos on our respective YouTube channels. And always check in with your fabulous Janome dealer. So there, as I swing around, whoops, as I try to swing around back to my front camera, there we are. Wow, did that half an hour go by really fast, as always. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining me. Oh, and one last tip. If you need, how about a spool stand on the back of your machine? This is the 5-spool stand. You can get a 2-spool stand. A number of our machines, they have the screw holes in the back of the machine. So you could even get a spool stand to have another spool pin for your other spool of thread. So that's another option as well. Check with your Janome dealer if it will fit your machine. So yes, thank you everyone so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you all next week. I'm going to talk about some fabulous accessories for our Continental M6 in particular, but these accessories that I will demo will fit a number of Continental machines specifically, but a number of those accessories are also available for other Janome machines as well. So I hope to see you then. So thank you everyone so much for joining me. Oh, wonderful. I will hope to see you again next week, Barbara. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. Bye.